Hey guys, Michelle Klon, Scottsdale, Arizona. How are you? I have very good news and very bad news today. um, I feel like Operation Wake Up just keeps going. But I have some really, really important information to share today. I really hope you guys take some notes and that I hope you're excited about what I'm about to share today, because I am here to share solutions, not just problems. But it is heavy. Like a lot of the stuff I have to share with you today, it's heavy, but I'm going to provide you solutions. And as always, Trump has got our back. The whole entire White Hat operation it's multinational. They've taken care of everything. It's just all about us waking up and learning how to walk in sacred honor and learning how to stand up to these crooks. So first of all, we got to start with the bad news. The bad news is that they're trafficking every single one of us. I mean, when the information started coming out about the Cesta KV trust, okay, so what is a Cesta KV trust? What am I talking about? Why is that so important? It's one of those things where you really do now have to grasp how they've been trafficking us and what's been going on behind the scenes, so that we can resolve the problem, so that we can stand up to it, so that we can make sure it never happens again, because we've got to know their playbook. Okay, so Cesta KV trust may also be referred to as a Social Security trust or a master trust, depends on where you are in the world. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure every country is doing this to us as human beings. So when you were born, they started a trust in your name and they started trading you on the open markets. And then every time you ever set up an LLC, or you got a mortgage, or you bought a car or a boat, or you put your kids in public school, or private school even, or universities, anytime you've ever operated in the public, like set up a bank account in the public bank account, or anytime you had a court case where they summoned you to court, they were drawing money from the other side of your ledger, meaning they already had racked up a bunch of money in your Cesta KV. And because they are operating for the mafia, they're drawing money out of your account. So how do I prove that to you? And why is that such a problem, right? Well, every single time that you contract with these foreign corporations, so you're talking about banks are foreign corporations, the state are foreign corporations, the cities, the counties, the courthouses, they're all foreign corporations. They consider us enemy combatants, whether we're a citizen or a state national, because we're foreigners to them. Even every single lawyer has signed an oath to the British Accreditation Registry, which makes them a foreign agent operating in our country, stealing our assets and trafficking us. Crazy, right? So where I see it being the biggest problem, and how they were really able to siphon so much money to almost like literally declare bad flu and take us all into massive slavery. What happened was, when we registered to vote for these statewide foreign corporations, we set them up as the trustee over our entire communities. So as the trustee, they have access to draw money out of our Cesta KV trusts to the tune of trillions and beyond, in order to take us to war and in order to save us, right? And the governors that draw this money out, these are not governors. Again, we got to demystify this here. These are corporations. They're not our republic. They are under the guise of our republic. But when you look on TV and you look at these governors, Governor DeSantis, Ducey, Inslee, all these people, they're not our governor. They are they're foreign corporate officers titling themselves governors. So they're not our governor, our Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor. They're not our treasurer. They're not our House. They're not even our Senate. They're just foreign corporations acting. Like, imagine a pirate ship coming up onto our land, docking, and they're pirates, and they consider you an enemy combatant because you're belligerent. When you come up on their ship and you agree to contract with them, they think you're belligerent. And so how are we testing this stuff? Okay, well, let's get back to the piece on bad flu. So a governor can literally just announce to the world, oh my gosh, there's a new pandemic. And next thing you know, they can draw money out of our Cesta KV trust to protect us, but ultimately they were taking us to war, and they were taking us to war with each other with fake news. So when they do that, war is extremely profitable for them. And if they take us to an outside war, like a Gulf War or a Desert Storm or something like that, they're sending in troops and they own the estate of the troops. So when each of these troops die, their Sesta KV, their other half of the ledger, the one they didn't even know about, the government is making the money on all those estates. So the $2, $3, $4 billion, whatever each soldier is worth, guys, war is extremely profitable for these guys, and they're doing it worldwide. So it's like a really big problem. As a matter of fact, every time you ever opened a bank account in the public, so you went to Bank of America and you set up a bank account in the public, they weren't taking your money. You were lending them money. They were then drawing money out of your Sesta KV to back it up, and then they set themselves up as a beneficiary of your account. In other words, I have friends on the front lines that have gone to try to cash checks by signing under the beneficiary name, and they seize up the account and they seize up all the assets in the bank account because you're not the beneficiary of your own money in the bank. Okay, so here's where it gets really brilliant. Trump, he set up an executive order where he declared and decreed that you can no longer traffic human beings. Taking the body as surety for a debt that the body does not owe is considered human trafficking.
My administration is 100% committed to eradicating human trafficking from the earth. My administration is fighting these monsters, persecuting and prosecuting them, and locking them away for a very, very long time. We've had a tremendous track record, the best track record in a long time.
He also moved the Federal Reserve into the Treasury and started to clean up the Treasury as of 3/15/2020. And when he did that, he brought back the IRS. The IRS was a fake service. It was always meant to be a department, an IRD, inside the Treasury, and he's been cleaning all that up. So there's an internal revenue department that you can use to report anyone who's trafficking your person. So this all sounds like hearsay, right? You're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to take in. So let me tell you, I'm going to report a story to you. Good friend of mine named Kevin, super brave patriot from Missouri. Here's how he started to apply this executive order. Okay, so he, during the time of COVID, got apprehended in a hospital. He was there to see his son because his son was injured, and 4 police officers slammed him to the ground because he wouldn't wear a face diaper. They stole his wallet out of his back pocket, and then they filed a claim in the court against him. So what Kevin did, and what a lot of people are doing, is they're responding to these court cases. Again, it's a foreign corporation trying to contract with you. They're not a court. They're a foreign corporation, an administrative court trying to contract with you. And what they're really trying to do is con you into drawing money from your Sesta KV. Because what they do when they create a new court case is they create a trust in your name through another foreign brokerage. They create a trust in your name, and they place 3 bonds inside that trust: a bid, a performance, and a payment bond. Now, stay with me, guys. So what Kevin did was, anytime someone comes and they offer to contract with you, you have to respond within a certain number of days, like 30 days. So he responded with a conditional acceptance, meaning, sure, I'll agree to contract with you upon burden of proof, meaning if you can prove that what you say is true, right? And so, so they can't prove that not wearing a mask causes harm, right? So they have the burden of proof. So at this point in time, he also responded to them with a counter presentment or a counter affidavit. And he said, because I have proof that shows that 4 police officers detained me, threw me to the ground, stole my wallet, etc., and accused me of something I didn't do. So here's my true bill. It's $13 million per police officer. I think it's USC Title 18 that gives you all these amounts, but it's $13 million per police officer times 4. And here's my evidence to prove it. And also here's a payment schedule for when you can pay me. And he not only did this counter presentment with this foreign corporation, this court, but he also filed it with the foreign corporation known as his county. So he went through a magistrate, AKA a notary. I don't know if everybody realizes this, but every notary is a public judge, a magistrate, and they can't rule over you. They can only see what documents are being presented. They're supposed to observe which documents are being presented and sign for them. So then he sent it through the post office, which is actually our courts. So this proves that he has a paper trail because he got it notarized. Then he went through the court, through the court of the U.S. Postal Service. Then he sent it to the county clerk. So all he's doing is just creating a paper trail. Then he also recorded it with the new Internal Revenue Department at the U.S. Treasury. So through the U.S. Treasury Inspector General. Now, I'm going to provide a whole list of links of departments that you can now file these claims with whenever someone is trafficking your body and trying to contract with you, because they can't do that anymore. They're not going to be able to get away with this anymore. Okay, so then the court saw that he was playing hardball. So what did they do? They totally ignored his counter-presentment and all that stuff. They hoped it would go away. And they spawned up a new court case, and they put his middle initial in the court case. So he wouldn't have caught it if he didn't catch the middle initial. That's how sneaky they are. And so what did he do? He responded with all the same steps, and he sent them a notice that the bill was due. The bill was due. The time had gone by. The 13 million times 4, which is now double because he's got him in fraud on a second court case, has all doubled. So what did the court do? Well, they knew they were in huge trouble. All this is filed. It's all filed. Both presentments, both court cases are all filed through the county clerk and with the Internal Revenue Department, which is actually supposed to work on, they're working on our side now, guys. You want to make them your best friend because they're actually the ones that are going to help us manage balancing both sides of the ledger between our Sesta KV trust and our public accounts or our debt accounts. So think of it as credit and debt. Okay, so then the court, this is how sneaky they are. And you got another playbook. The courts basically filed bankruptcy. This foreign corporation filed bankruptcy, and they ran for the hills. He could no longer find the 4 judges that had been assigned to these 2 fake cases. He couldn't find the lawyers. The prosecuting attorneys ran. The court clerk ran. Even the brokerage company that started all these trusts in his name ran because they knew that he was auditing them. And so next thing you know, what do they do? But for 3 weeks later, they spawned up a new foreign corporation with a new LLC and a new Dun & Bradstreet number, and they literally changed the address, but it's the same exact courthouse. It's just a side door. So that's how they work. They just spawn up a whole new facade. As soon as they're caught, they spawn up a new facade and they act like no one can see them. But they're right there in plain sight. So one of the first things you want to do anytime you're dealing with any foreign adversary, in this case, the court, ask them who they are. Ask them for their oath of office. Find out who are you and who do you work for. And if they send you an oath of office that is all caps corporation with an all caps constitution or bylaws, that means you're dealing with a foreign corporation. And a lot of people that Ann LaFleur is working with are getting out of their court cases by simply going in and conditionally accepting any contract upon burden of proof of jurisdiction. In other words, if you get pulled over for a traffic violation or something like that, you can respond to the court through the magistrate and through the post office. Don't give a special appearance. Just respond and say, I will conditionally accept your opportunity or your offer to contract upon burden of proof of jurisdiction. And they don't have jurisdiction over you because they're trying to operate as human traffickers. They're operating in maritime, and you're standing in your honor and you're saying, no, I really don't want to participate in your fraud. So, okay. So this goes deep. So that's one way that people are starting to stand up. And one of the things I've been really concerned about is like, what happens if this summer, like at the end of August, they start to try to force these things on our kids in order to go back to public school? Well, there's 50 million children in the public school system and the parents are accepting benefits. That's how they look at us. They look at us as belligerent citizens accepting benefits for their state or their foreign corporate offers. And we're accepting the benefit of free education. So by doing that, they get to set all the rules. And obviously you and I both know we're dependent on these schools by now. You've got 50 million children throughout the country, the US, in state, public state schools. And that means over 100 million parents. And if they were to drop a requirement like that on us overnight, like within a week, too many children would end up taking it. So we've got to have a strategy. We've got to have a plan. And I think one of the best strategies is to report these states for human trafficking. Okay, I really do. I think this is the strategy. We've got to start reporting all these companies. So banks, state organizations or foreign corporations, counties, cities, Like I said, I mean, you're talking about every time they ever opened a bank account, they were drawing money from your SESTA KV. And there are more auditing tools becoming available to us. So like a QSIP report allows you to pull back the amount of money that they drew from you in order to open your mortgage, for example. But that QSIP report costs like $250 to run the report, and it's not like a line item ledger. So in other words, I ordered one of those for my home, and it said that it was like over 8 billion was pulled out. So I can't tell if that was because they bundled my mortgage in some cluster, or if that's the amount that they pulled out of my SESTA KV. But there are tools out there, and I'm saying just like look for them. Start to draw that into this new reality. Like look for these ways to audit, because pretty soon, like not only can we report them to these agencies now, but pretty soon these guys are going to just be completely exposed for what they're doing. Okay, so I also want to just report back what's happening on the field with regard to what some of these states are doing to steal properties from people. And this is stuff that's not making the mainstream news, so you don't even know what's happening. But there are a lot of people, like if they buy their house outright, let's say they've paid off their mortgage, what the state will do is they'll hire a brokerage company to pay their taxes for you under the table. They won't send you a bill for taxes. They're paying these taxes under the table. And if they pay your taxes for over 3 years, they can lay claim to your home. So then you wouldn't even know that they owned your home until you died and your all of your estate went into probate. So it's really, really important now that we learn how to establish our estate. And Ann LaFleur and Fearless Floyd are on YouTube, and they are running classes and courses. Again, I'll provide the links below. And you can find this video on Rumble at Our Great Awakening. I'm on Our Great Awakening on Rumble. And so you can find all these links, where to report this nefarious activity, where to learn more about how to set up your estate, how to learn more about how to get your land patent. Because that's the other thing is, like, guys, we are kind of in a big, I don't know, we're kind of bound by all these fraudulent contracts. A lot of people might say to me, well, the SESTA KV was built on fraud. I never gave informed consent, therefore I don't participate in the fraud. And I was like, well, but they're still trafficking you. And until we stand up against it, this is how they can take over the world. And we don't even know what's happening, you know? So unfortunately, because all these companies and corporations are working in lockstep, and unfortunately, because every single lawyer in America are working for a foreign agency, they're all agents in black, and we got to come forth on that. So like if you're a lawyer and you want to start working, you know, in good faith, it would be better for you to launch a lawful firm where you're going to operate in good faith and get it with Ann LaFleur and some of these people that are actually standing up to the courts and getting people out of court cases, because these courts have no jurisdiction over us. They really don't. They can't prove jurisdiction. I also have some videos that I'm checking out that are going viral of people realizing that if you don't respond in the court to your last name, Mr. Anderson, hello, Mr. Anderson. If you don't respond, if you say, no, I'm not Mr. Anderson, I'm Michelle. And they'll be like, are you not Mr. Anderson? No, I'm Michelle. Anyway, if you reply like that and you stand up to your lawyer and you fire your lawyer, because your lawyer can't represent you unless he represents you as a corporation. So the lawyer, we have to learn how to stand up without lawyers and stand up to these courts. And that's why the lawyers out there that want to turn to the alliance and come to the good side could really learn how to coach people on how to stand in their own honor and how to protect their own assets. And that's why I keep saying, guys, it's time for us to really back up against each other. This is not a time to war with each other. It's not a time to be mad about this information. It's a time to wrap our heads around it, to watch the wins that are happening on the front lines, to make those videos go as viral as possible, and to keep talking about this. You know, form our ecclesias, keep talking about this topic, because they're trafficking us. They're just blatantly trafficking us, and Trump knows it. And that's why he set up this executive order, and that's why he's cleaning up the Treasury. So anyway, you guys, I love you so much. Let's do this. Don't be discouraged. We're winning. We're about to reign in a new kingdom of heaven on earth. We are the ones who will reign in Jasar and Asara, because it's us standing up to the fraud that forces them out into the light. All right, you guys, love you so much. We'll talk again soon. Bye.